Here are the top stories for today, September 28, 2021. President Rodrigo Duterte mulls the use of police power to fast-track the country's vaccination drive. Minors are now included in the expanded COVID-19 vaccination drive of the government. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives has approved the bill extending voter registration. And taking meals together as a family is said to lessen the stress brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story for today, President Rodrigo Duterte has already approved the vaccination of minors aged 12 to 17 years old. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said this is in line with the recommendation of the National Task Force Chief and Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez Jr. to open the vaccination for children by mid-October. Roque said the guidelines for pediatric vaccination are underway.
Magsisimula na po ang pagbabakuna sa general population itong buwan ng Oktubre. Ito po inaprubahan na ng Pangulo sangayon po sa advice ni Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez. At magsisimula na rin po ang ating pagbabakuna ng ating mga kabataan, pero ang ating hinihikayat ngayon ay magpa-master listing na po ang mga magulang ng mga kabataan para mapalistahan na yung mga kabataan pag nagsimula na po tayo. Inaasahan po natin magsisimula rin tayo sa buwan ng Oktubre. Aprobado na rin po yan ng ating presidente.
Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte reiterates his appeal to the public to avail of the life-saving doses as the delivery of COVID-19 vaccines is expected to reach 100 million doses by the end of October. The government targets to administer at least 55 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines by the end of October.
With these welcome developments in our COVID-19 numbers, I now encourage you, those who have yet to receive the vaccines, to get inoculated. Paulit-ulit kasi ito, we are almost pleading down on our knees. Parang nakaluhod na kami, nakikiusap sa taong bayan, yung mga taong ayaw o hindi pa nagpabakuna at nandyan naman ang available.
President Rodrigo Duterte is mulling the use of police power of the state to compel unvaccinated people to line up and get their free COVID-19 vaccines. The Department of Health earlier emphasized that COVID-19 vaccines help prevent severe to critical cases and even deaths. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 also said that adherence to safety protocols and vaccination are key elements to the success of the government's COVID-19 pandemic response.
You know, I do not want to advance this theory, but under the police power of the state, everybody can be compelled to be vaccinated. Not because we do not believe in your theory or belief or your religion, but because you are a carrier and a danger to society. Yan ang problema dyan. It's between your belief, maybe, your religion. There is a division of, religion and state.
President Rodrigo Duterte warned government employees to get vaccinated or leave government service. The president stressed that government workers must uphold the public safety and health at all times.
Tama yan. Sa gobyerno, ayaw mong pagbakuna, umalis ka. Go out of government. Why? Because when you are with government, you face people. People transact business, official, audiences, or visits. Kung ikaw ang career, sabihin na ang relihiyon mo o ang ayaw ng aming paniwala o I just don't believe it. Well, I'm sorry. Yung ganon, it is completely irrelevant to us. in government. Mabutit mag-intindihan tayo niyan. Because if everybody does not comply with the vaccines, and we can have a widespread wildfire spread, then the police must go in and intervene in your private life so that you cannot be a danger to society.
Here is an update on the total number of vaccinated individuals in the country. Data from the National COVID-19 Vaccination Dashboard showed that as of September 26 shows that the Philippines has already administered almost 44 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines nationwide. Of the number, more than 23,000 are waiting for their second dose, while more than 20,000 have obtained full protection against the dreaded virus. This represents about 26% of the target 70 million eligible adult Filipinos. President Rodrigo Duterte wondered why the expiration date of the face shields becomes an issue at the Senate inquiry into the medical supplies procured by the government from the pharmacy at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic last year. In his pre-recorded talk to the people last night, Duterte said plastics, even the non-medical grade ones, would take long time before expiring.
Paano ito mag-expire? Unless abusuhin mo, itapon-tapon mo. Pero kung isuot mo lang at ilagay mo ng magandang pagkalagay, ganon, paano mag-expire yan? Well, mag-expire. But maybe in about, take about 10, 15 years.
Meanwhile, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III said the face shields that were mentioned during the Senate hearing were medical grade ones with foam, brick, and garter that have a shelf life of about 36 months. He also noticed that all medical supplies procured by the DOH have gone through inspection in terms of quality and quantity in accordance with the agency's technical specifications. The Department of Health has purchased around 2 million face shields from Pharmaly during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Pharmaly executive Crizel Grace Magno earlier testified that the firm has altered the expiration date of the government-procured face shields, changing it from 2020 to 2021. For its part, Malacanang said it would be up to the Department of Justice to decide whether to investigate the alleged alteration on expiration dates of face shields. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque assures that the government will look into the matter, but the witness must substantiate her testimony.
We leave that to the Department of Justice to decide. Sa ngayon po, titignan natin kung talaga may katotohanan yung alteration ng manufacturing date at kung merong batas na nalabag.
Reports on the alleged false positive RT-PCR test results of the Philippine Red Cross would be out by October 8. This is announced by Health Secretary Francisco Duque during the pre-recorded talk to the people last night. Duque said an initial investigation showed that 49 hospital personnel have tested positive in swab tests processed by the Philippine Red Cross Molecular Laboratory in Subic. Duque said only 5 out of 49 have tested positive in the RITM's confirmatory tests.
Yung pong preliminary report po sa akin ay yung sa PRC Logistics and Training Center sa Subic. Ito po yung sumuri ng mga nasopharyngeal swab. Ito po sa throat at saka sa may ilong. Yung 49 out of 49 lumalabas po na nag-positive. At noon po, September 6, nagpa-swab ulit sila, nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swab. At lumalabas, out of the 49, 5 po ang nag-positive lamang. So, 10% lang po compared sa 100% sa kabila. Ngayon po, kasalukuyan ay iniimbestigahan po ng Research Institute for Tropical Medicine at meron po silang report na lalabas pa lang
it is good that there is an independent investigating agency para well, if there's nothing wrong, we can accept that. If but there is something wrong, then the chairman of the Red Cross has to answer for it.
New York City in the United States is planning to hire more healthcare workers as it braces for staff shortage. This is due to their mandatory COVID-19 vaccination among all their workers by October 7. With higher salaries and bigger opportunities abroad, the government expects that more local healthcare workers will apply. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque meanwhile said that the government has the executive power to limit the sending of nurses abroad. Ilocos Norte ramps up its vaccination drive among senior citizens, while Bacolod City opens more inoculation sites to fast-track its vaccination. The details from Chris Mundo.
In Ilocos Norte, hundreds of senior citizens wait for their turn to get their second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine yesterday. According to the Provincial Health Office, they expect around 2,000 elderlies to show up to complete their jabs. Meanwhile, Bacolod City has intensified its vaccination campaign by setting up more vaccination sites. The city government also deploys 5 buses around the city for its VaxI mobile vaccination. It also opens on-site and night shift vaccination for BPO workers as well as drive-through vaccination. As of September 23, 192,774 Bacolod residents have been administered with the COVID-19 jabs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
Still to come, the House and the Senate approve a bill extending voters' registration for 1 month. And the Department of Education urges teachers and staff holding pilot face-to-face classes to get vaccinated. Details ahead. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. The House of Representatives and the Senate unanimously approved a measure seeking to extend the voter registration deadline for another 30 days. With 193 affirmative votes, the chamber approved House Bill 10261, which proposes to fix the last day of registration of voters for the 2022 polls. Under the bill filed by House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, along with Majority Leader Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and Minority Leader Joseph Stephen Paduano, the last day of registration for next year's polls shall be 30 days after the effectivity of the proposed measure. Velasco said the period for registration must be extended to avoid massive voter disenfranchisement given the extraordinary circumstances brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. He also hopes that the COMELEC will use the one-month extension to ramp up voter registration and ensure that more people can vote next year. Meanwhile, all the senators agreed that the COMELEC needed to be compelled to move the deadline despite its continued rejection of the proposal. The Senate unanimously approved Senate Bill 2408, or an act extending the registration of voters for the 2022 national and local elections. Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri, the main sponsor of the bill, said the Senate will adopt the House of Representatives version of the bill. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority show that 73 million voters are qualified to participate in the May 2022 polls. But in the COMELEC report, around 61 million are registered voters as of August 23. The COMELEC 7-man management committee, or MANCOM, is expected to come up with a decision tomorrow. Measures are in place to accommodate more voter registrants. In Antique, the Commission on Elections has opened a sign-up site at a mall to accommodate 300 registrants per day until September 30. And in Western Visayas, registrants will not be entertained if they do not wear face masks and face shields. Iloilo City Elections Assistant Officer Jonathan Saino said around 1,000 registrants are being accommodated daily at the Robinson's Place main branch until September 30. Teachers and non-teaching staff of the schools identified for the pilot implementation of face-to-face classes are required to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Education Secretary Leonor Briones said the order is mandatory even if physical classes will be held in low-risk areas. She said President Rodrigo Duterte was also specific when he gave his approval that the DepEd must ensure the pilot implementation will be consistent with health standards. DOH Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, meanwhile, said regular testing is not a requirement for teachers and staff to go to schools. Vergere emphasized that symptomatic screening or assessment of symptoms is observed when deciding whether to test or not for COVID-19. The Department of Education and the Department of Health signed a joint memorandum circular outlining the guidelines for pilot face-to-face classes in areas identified as low risk for COVID-19. Education Secretary Leonor Briones said the two departments worked together in crafting the operational guidelines of limited face-to-face classes to safely reopen schools amid the pandemic. The pilot implementation would be done along a maximum of 120 schools, prioritizing Key Stage 1 learners or Kinder to Grade 3. Briones noted that the guidelines implement the Prevent, Detect, Isolate, Treat, and Reintegrate framework. DepEd also drafted a contingency plan with recommended actions for different scenarios such as a suspected case or a resurgence of COVID-19 cases. Meantime, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said the department committed to providing additional protection for teachers through vaccination. World Health Organization representative to the Philippines, Dr. Rabindra Abea Singh, meanwhile assured that it would continue to support the government in the pilot implementation of in-person classes. The Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys, will be used to identify and verify beneficiaries of assistance programs such as the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program and assistance to individuals in crisis situation. The Philippine Statistics Authority and the Department of Social Welfare and Development signed the Memorandum of Agreement for the pilot test of PhilSys in social welfare programs. The partnership makes DSWD the first national government agency to adopt PhilSys for authentication of its beneficiaries. DSWD said through the PhilID card, beneficiaries can enroll in future programs while the agency can identify beneficiary records by using the PhilSys number. The PhilSys Act states that whoever rejects the PhilID as an identification document shall be fined 500,000 pesos plus perpetual absolute disqualification from holding any public office or employment in government. Officials in Batanes report the province's first ever death related to COVID-19. Meanwhile, authorities have arrested nearly 2,700 persons all over Central Luzon for violating health protocols. More on this and other news from the provinces from Marita Mawahe.
Nearly 2,700 individuals in Central Luzon were caught over the weekend for violating health and safety protocols against COVID-19. Violations include not wearing face masks or face shields, not observing physical distancing, and holding mass gatherings. Brigadier General Valeriano De Leon, Director of the Police Regional Office 3, called on the public to always observe the minimum health safety standards to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The region reported 2,239 new cases of COVID-19 based on the bulletin released on Monday by the Central Luzon Center for Health Development. In Siquijor, Vice Governor Dr. May Ling Quezon Brown described on Monday as alarming the rising number of COVID-19 cases in the island province. She said the spike in cases this month was sudden, with only 319 on September 1, but in a matter of 25 days, the DOH reported 1,231 total infections. There were also 10 mortalities, with another 10 yet to be confirmed as COVID-19 related. Quezon Brown said as of September 26, Siquijor has logged a total of 832 active cases based on a report from the Department of Health. Meanwhile, a 70-year-old man from Basco is the first COVID-19 related fatality in the island province of Batanes. Justin Susito, the Provincial Public Information Officer, said that the man died on Saturday due to acute respiratory failure secondary to pneumonia. The death came as active cases in Batanes rose to 349, with 67 new cases on Saturday and Sunday. The province is still under enhanced community quarantine until October 4. In Cebu City, as Christmas and the election season approaches, city officials on Monday reminded everyone against the holding of and attending gatherings that could trigger another surge in COVID-19 cases. Acting Mayor Michael Rama reacted to a report of a Barrio Fiesta event in Barangay Talamban where a religious activity drew a throng of people. Rama reminded politicians and residents not to be complacent and continue following health and safety protocols. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Mawahe.
Moving on to business, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez wants fitness clubs and centers to be part of essential sectors that are allowed to operate under Alert Level 4. During the Palace briefing Monday, Lopez said the gym operators have appealed to the government to consider their sector as part of essential business activity. He said they saw that gyms can help in boosting the immunity through exercise, especially in the fight against COVID-19. If this will be allowed, this will start after the pilot testing of the alert level system in Metro Manila by the end of the month. He said this move will also help in bringing back jobs for people working in fitness clubs and centers. Up next, the PCO's Government Communications Academy holds its groundbreaking in Bukidnon. And a couple separated by distance and travel protocols get married at a checkpoint in Pangasinan. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Mga kabida, importante pa rin ang disiplina sa pag-iwas sa pagkalat ng COVID-19. Upang masiguro ang kaligtasan ninyo at inyong mga pamilya, hanapin ang Safety Seal sticker sa inyong pupuntahan. Mapamall man ito, kainan, pasyalan, o kahit na anumang public o private business establishment. Ang Safety Seal ay tanda na ang isang establishment ay sumusunod sa minimum public health standards ng gobyerno upang maiwasan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Ating tandaan, bida ang may tatak. Hashtag Safety Seal para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan. Mga kabida, hindi pa rin nawawala ang banta ng COVID-19. Upang masiguro ang kaligtasan ninyo at ng inyong pamilya, hanapin ang Safety Seal sticker sa inyong pupuntahan. Mapamall man ito, kainan, pasyalan o kahit anong business establishment. Ang Safety Seal ay tanda ng isang establishmento ay sumusunod sa minimum public health standards ng gobyerno para maiwasan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Ating tandaan, bida ang may disiplina. #SafetySeal para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
The first state-of-the-art training facility for government media and information personnel broke ground within the compound of the Northern Bukidnon State College on Monday. The Government Communications Academy, or GCA, a project of the Presidential Communications Operations Office, will focus on teaching communication to information officers in barangays and national government agencies. In his message, PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar said the GCA facility will soon be open to media workers in the private sector who also want to take part in the training programs. He said this is a realization of one of the goals they have envisioned in the past 5 years of President Duterte's administration. Jovelyn De Llosa, NBSC Vice President for Academic Affairs, said she saw the project as one of the ways to attain well-coordinated communication strategies that are timely, proactive, and sensitive to the needs of the people and the times. Victims of domestic violence, including rape, are urged to end the cycle of abuse by speaking out, reporting to authorities, and availing of government assistance. At the online Quezon City Peace and Order Council meeting on September 23, the Quezon City Police District showed a notable 66.7% increase in violence against women and children, or VAWC. Director Brigadier General Antonio Yara also reported a 21.5% increase in rape cases for the first 8 months of the year, aside from the increase in cases of physical and psychological abuse. Among the contributing factors are pandemic-related lockdowns and domestic conflicts due to financial difficulties. In a statement, Mayor Joy Belmonte advised victims to overcome their fear and act against their abusers. Belmonte said the city government and QCPD will soon launch a unified information management system to facilitate monitoring and immediate investigation of VAWC cases. In Bulacan, more than 2 million pesos worth of shabu was seized from 2 alleged drug traders in Barangay Gaya-Gaya, San Jose del Monte City on Monday afternoon. Members of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, or PDEA, arrested the suspects identified as Tonton Kudarat, a resident of Quiapo, Manila, and Zanaira Ibra of East Fairview, Quezon City. The sting operation yielded 2 pieces of transparent plastic ice bags containing more or less 300 grams of shabu, marked money, and a car. The suspects will be charged for selling dangerous drugs. Amid the global COVID-19 health crisis, the Philippines went ahead with the celebration of the Kainang Pampamilya Mahalaga Day on Monday to emphasize the importance of families taking meals together. Most local government units and state agencies suspended work by 3:30 p.m. to let employees go home earlier than usual. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, as chair of the National Committee on the Filipino Family, said that the activity is held every last Monday of September and as part of the National Family Week. The DSWD said sharing meals encourages parents to stay connected with their children and opens an opportunity to communicate with one another. The 29th National Family Week this week carries the theme Pamilya at Teknolohiya, Magkabalikat na Matagumpayan ang Hamon ng Pandemya. The United Nations Children's Fund advised parents to talk about the pandemic with their children. The DOST Philippine Science High School is open for incoming grade 7 students. Applications for school year 2022 to 2023 is ongoing until October 22nd for applicants who were in a private school in grade 5 and until October 29, 2021 for applicants who were in a public school in grade 5. Admission shall be held through the PSHS requirement for admission criteria and evaluation, which was adopted to prevent the spread of COVID-19 among examinees. Applications can be submitted online at the PSHS RACE website or in person at PSHS campus, DOST regional offices, and provincial science and technology centers in their area. Other details about the PSHS RACE, such as eligibility requirements and credentials, can be found on the PSHS system website. A couple in Pangasinan withstood quarantine protocols and stringent travel restrictions to get married at the border checkpoint in Urdaneta City. Erwin Zabala and Ruby Papio tied the knot in a civil wedding ceremony on September 26. Erwin is a nurse in the United Kingdom who came to meet Ruby for the first time and marry her after being in a long-distance relationship for months. Meanwhile, Ruby was among the repatriated overseas Filipino workers from Jordan. Ruby said Erwin and his companions were not allowed entry to the province due to the lack of safe, swift, smart passage or S-Pass. She said the wedding was initially planned to be a solemn and private ceremony. She said they were each other's strength during this pandemic ever since they met online in May this year. Erwin's vacation in the country will end soon, but they hope to be together in the United Kingdom. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. President Rodrigo Duterte mulls the use of police power to fast-track the country's vaccination drive. Minors are now included in the expanded COVID-19 vaccination drive of the government. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives has approved the bill extending voter registration. And taking meals together as a family is said to lessen the stress brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 88 more days to go Christmas. Things are going really, really fast, so let's prepare for that. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, stay safe to everyone.